Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Piper Report. So, the Federal Reserve is going to increase interest rates again, maybe even twice this year yet. And Trump is mad over it, and a lot of Trump supporters are angry over it. However, I completely agree with the Fed on this. Now, for those who have known me for a long time, you know that I am absolutely no fan of the Federal Reserve. I think we should end the Fed. They have way too much power over monetary policy. They basically control monetary policy. It's way too much power to give away to plutocrats. Because if you control monetary policy, you control government. So I think we should end the Fed. However, that doesn't mean that everything the Fed does is wrong. That doesn't mean that the Fed can never do something right. They do things right. They do have many economists that work for them, smart economists, so they do understand the economy. My main problem with the Fed is its authority that it has, and also when they loan us money, they charge interest on it. Money we can just print ourselves, which is in the Constitution. Congress has the ability to print and coin money. But anyways, you may be asking, why does the Fed even raise interest rates? Because under Obama, for almost all of his 8 years, interest rates were basically zero. And the reason they raise interest rates is to deter investment. Well, your next question might be, why would you want to deter investment? And the main reason is for inflation. So, to give you kind of a simple example, let's say the economy is doing very well, which it is now. And now that the economy is doing well, more people have more money in their pocket, they are going to go out and spend that money. So let's say a bunch of people go out and buy a car. And so many people are buying cars now. They're taking loans out, they're buying cars, it's left and right. Well, car dealerships are now going to raise their prices because the demand for the cars are really hefty. So they know they can make money off it. Well, investors will also see this, so they are going to buy stock in that company. They're going to buy stock in the car dealership companies. And this kind of spurs optimism. So more and more people are buying cars, which causes more and more people to buy into the company, buying stocks and things of that nature. Well, eventually, you get to a point where people no longer need cars. The rate of growth of which you were selling your cars is no longer the same. It stagnates. And when that happens, car dealerships then have to lower their prices because the demand is lower. So they have to keep lowering their prices so they can get people to buy their cars. Well, now investors that have stock in that company, they see this, and they see this as a loss of money for them. So then they start liquidating their stocks. They start selling their shares just so they don't lose money. This causes a panic, and eventually the asset, in this case the cars from the car dealership, that plummets and it collapses. That's called the boom and the bust. That is called the bubble and the bubble bursting. The bubble is the prices inflating because the dealers are raising their prices because the demand for them is high, and then it eventually comes too much, people don't need it, and it busts. This happened with the dot-com bubble in the 90s. This happened with the real estate market in the late 2000s. So what the Federal Reserve does is it raises interest rates. And by raising interest rates, more people are going to save their money now. They're not going to go out and spend it as much as they would. Their credit card interest payments will be higher. Their loan payments will be higher. Interest will be higher. So they're going to mostly save their money. So this will definitely decrease GDP, gross domestic product, because less people are making less goods and less people are buying those goods. But at the same time, it's controlling inflation, since people just aren't going crazy, spending on one particular topic. That is how bubbles are created. So even though Trump is upset, and I understand why he's upset, like I said earlier, Obama basically had 0% interest his whole 2 terms. And I think under Trump so far, they have raised interest 3 or 4 times, interest rates. So I understand why he's upset. However, you cannot just have an economy that is just unbalanced like that, because eventually you will get the bust. The boom is nice, but the bust always follows the boom. And a good way to combat that is to combat inflation. And a good way to combat inflation is interest rates. So, the Federal Reserve is absolutely correct on this. They should raise interest rates. It will harm the economy at first, but it will balance back out. I'm not exactly sure when they're doing it. I believe at the end of this month, but we shall see. Either way, it is a good move by the Fed that will help the economy in the end. And again, and the Fed. I hate the Fed, but they do some things right. Either way, we should still get rid of them. And I'm done.